So are you at peace about this upcoming election? Did you make a decision who you're going to vote for, whether it's Donald Trump or Biden? Well, a lot of Christians, a lot of people know exactly who they're going to vote for. It's very, very clear. But I think this is a really interesting thing that God did. It's a chance for Christians to actually decide for peace here, to know that God's leading and guiding you, and to look at things. Remember something, you judge a tree by its fruit. You don't judge a tree by what it smells like, its past, right? Whether it was growing before, or anything else. You look at a tree by its fruit. So it's really important. Now, I'm talking about the issue of pro-life. Now, everybody knows Donald Trump is pro-life, and, well, let's put it this way. I've known a lot of Christians, not way before this, my whole life, that say, oh, pro-life is so important. It's such an important thing. You got to get out there and you vote. You got to vote. They say that life is such an important issue, especially for me being Catholic, from conception until natural death, right? So pro-life is a big thing. So, but for the first time in history, and you know this already, I don't go to beat a dead horse, Donald Trump is just so incredibly pro-life, right? He's done so much stuff. But there's other things there that, I heard somebody in one of the media things say, and I thought it was great. One lady said, I don't like what Joe Biden's doing, but I don't like what Donald Trump says, and he's this and he's that and he's this. And I'm not going to get into, in this conversation right now, about whether the media switches things. I want to stay as middle of the road and as fair as possible in this video. My whole objective here, is to show what I think God is doing. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a test. And it's not a test for Donald Trump and Biden. It's a test for you and me. It's like God is saying, you say that life's important to you. You say that this is important. How important is it? How important is it? So, on one hand, we know, for example, how pro-life the president is. I mean, do you know more than a dozen district judges have been appointed for life in September alone? Just September, a dozen for life, right? So he's done a lot, and of course 217 Supreme Court justices, federal circuit and district justices, all nominated by Donald Trump. 217, right? It's just something, 53 appeal court judges nominated by Trump. Almost a third of all actual federal judges in the U.S. appeals court were nominated by Trump or appointed by Trump. So we can go on and on with this, right? So that's not the issue. The issue is we have the most pro-life over here, and we have over here, we have the total opposite. Biden's not going to keep it the way that it is. It's going to be a big deal. So it's like God is saying, how important is this pro-life issue to you? The enemy of the most important things in life aren't things that aren't important at all. It's lesser important things, right? Just like the enemy of the best things in life are usually things that are good, but they're not as important. You got to say no to some good things so that you can say yes to better things, right? Part of goal setting. If you have goals to do tomorrow, the first thing you do is, especially if you have a lot of goals, is the most important thing on your list you got to decide first. And you plan that to make sure that it gets done tomorrow first. It doesn't have to be the first thing you do, but it has to be planned so that it gets in there. So my whole life, and if pro-life is the biggest issue, like a lot of people say it is, then that's first. So in my history, whenever there was a pro-life candidate and one that wasn't, you had to vote pro-life. Now, if there's two pro-lifes, it's different. Now think about this. God didn't give you any options here. The first debate, Donald Trump and Biden, right? I was happy. My mother said to me, oh, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because I know I'm voting for Trump because he's pro-life, but why did he have to act? I mean, he could have said a little better. And I said, Mom, think about this. If Donald Trump acted a little bit kinder, a little bit nicer, now it's not all about pro-life. I just think it's such a great thing. I mean, the things that he was done, and remember, Joe Biden and Kamala are the opposite extreme. They're not going to leave it where it's at. They're going to go the other way. And so it's like God saying, how important is it pro-life? He gives you somebody here. Remember, you judge a tree by its fruit, not by what it says, not by what it smells like. So when you say, oh, well, Donald Trump's a womanizer, he's this. I'm not talking about whether he is, whether the media changes things. That's not the purpose of the video. Myself, we know that evil was real and it gets involved in everything. And if you listen to anybody long enough, including me, you're going to disagree with me if you haven't already. The point is, I see what God is doing here, and I think it's a great test for you and I. He wants to see how important. So many people are saying, oh yeah, I believe in this until it gets hard. Oh yeah, I'll do anything for Jesus until it gets hard, right? In the Catholic Church, people believe in the Eucharist, right? But what if something happens and you get down to the point that, you have to martyr yourself? Those of you that are going to accept the Eucharist, that believe that is Jesus up there, you guys, we're going to kill you. Those of you say that want to walk out can leave. How many will stay? When it comes down to it, how important is it to you? What is it really worth? So when you look at the issue of pro-life, I want you to think about this. Pretend there's two different candidates running right now. Not Donald Trump and Joe Biden, but, two characters. One character is great for the country, but boy, he doesn't like your family. He'll probably close your business down. He's going to make life really hard on you, but he is the best candidate. He's the one that God wants in there because it's just going to be great for the country. Now, the other candidate is your friend. Okay? And he's going to make all kinds of concessions for you. You're going to get all kinds of perks from him being the president. But he's not going to be the best choice for the country. What are you going to do? Now, as a Christian with integrity, you're going to just have to, you have to do what's right. You're going to have to vote for the one that's going to be hard on you. I have voted for candidates that I didn't want to win in the past because they're both pro-life. I'm picking them. But because of other issues, I think, this is one I think should be there, but this one would actually benefit me more. I've made that decision a lot. And I think that if you're a person of integrity, you have too. You do what you know is right? Not because you want it for you, right? That's part of joy, right? Jesus first, others second, yourself last. Joy, right? Mother Teresa gave us that. So you put others first, right? Well, Jesus first, right? And you're last, right? So God's saying, how important is pro-life to you? So he gives you a candidate here that says things that you don't like those words. You don't like those words, right? Well, as Wayne Dyer said, it wasn't him, I heard him saying it, nobody gets wet from the word water. Doesn't happen. It's just a word. And by the way, God has used, people all throughout history. You read the Bible, that we're not godly at all to save his people. And I'm not talking about prophecies or anything. I'm saying that all things work together for those that love God, right? So, and Donald Trump is not, if he's ignorant of a lot of things about Scripture, but I think he'd be the first one to tell you that. But he's certainly not anti-God. You can say that. I think it was Billy Graham's son that said, he's not a good example of our faith. I didn't say that, but he's an excellent defender of it. And by the way, we're not voting in a pastor. We're not voting in a father or a family member. You're voting in someone to lead the country. And they have to lead the country, right? They don't have to lead by example the way that you and I lead our children, right? It might be ideal, but again, what's the most important issue? Until it's satisfied, you don't go to the second issue. So again, God's saying, how important is it to you, right? So look, for the first time since Roe versus Wade, America has a pro-life president, a pro-life vice president, a pro-life House of Representatives, and 25 pro-life Republican state capitals. It's all working together. President can change all that, right? The first sitting president to address the annual March for Life in person. Think about that, okay? The first president in United States history to single out Planned Parenthood for the funding on the first page of the 2018 budget, right? He also asked Congress to pass legislation to end late-term abortions, reinstated and expanded policies prohibiting international aid from funding overseas abortions. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So again, you're going to make your decisions based on, I just don't like this rhetoric and the way he's talking and the way he tweets all the time. And by the way, we don't know the things that we don't know, right? We don't know how much the media is in there. And you know that media, there's a lot of evil. Evil was very clever. Number one trick that evil has on people is to convince you it doesn't even exist. Okay? So, decide for peace. That's number one. As a Christian, enjoy what's happening. You can sit back and just say, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I know I'm going to love it. You make that decision. Can't you just hear Jesus saying, wow, such faith. That's what I want him to say about me, such faith. That's what you want. So sit back, decide for peace. And you know what? I'm going to do that if Biden wins. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, me, because of the pro-life issue. That's it. Now, I do like Donald Trump. I'm not going to tell you that I don't. But that I wouldn't be talking about it either way. I voted for lots of pro-life people that I don't even look at anything else. As soon as I find out who's that and who's this, I mean, look at the little papers they put on your windows at church. It tells you who the pro-life people are. It doesn't say, did you ever get one of those papers on your car that says this person is pro-life except here's some things you should know about them? That's not there. You know why? Because pro-life is the most important thing. And if you value that, you know, a lot of people say, focus on the big things and the little things fall together. Well, you take care of the little things and God will take care of the big things. And by little things, I mean the things that you can manage. We're simple. We're supposed to trust. Trust God. He knows what He's doing. He doesn't need our help. He wants our submission. And pro-life is something that's very clear. It's very clear. Now, we're talking especially about the people that have been saying, if you're not pro-life, that's a different video. I'm not here to convince you that you should be pro-life. Okay? That's different. I'm not trying to tell you that Trump should be here for this or any other policies. I'm talking to the people. There's a lot of Christians out there that have been saying I'm pro-life and I'm for this and I'm for this that don't want to vote for Trump. Some of them are battling. Some of them say I'm not doing it. And I know a lot of individuals, some in my own family, that say I'm not even voting this election. I can't support either one. I'm not voting. Now, if you're saying that out of faith and you know that God's going to direct it, that's one thing. But I don't think the people that I'm listening to, they're just saying I can't support either one. Oh, no. No, you have to make a decision. And not making a decision is a decision, not to make a decision. So, and you're going to be affected by it either way, and you will be responsible for it. It's just simple. So I'm just going to end with one other thing here, okay? Think about this. Because I know, you hear about Make America Great Again, but think about this. We joined 24 countries in joint statements before the United Nations General Assembly and other international bodies stating that there is no international right to abortion. It just got bigger. Efforts to form a coalition to oppose international energies to include right to abortion language in international documents. So God's using Donald Trump. This is a big thing. You know how many people made a big deal about this, right? Reinstated a Mexico City policy which prevents approximately $9 billion of foreign aid from being used to funding abortions internationally. And I'm not even talking about UNFPA. We withheld an estimated $32.5 million support under the Kim Cassidy Amendment. There's a lot of stuff here. You can go on and on and on. The only reason I mentioned the few is to tell you what you already know. He's extremely pro-life. And if he doesn't get in, remember, I want one last thing. I thought this was such an important thing to think about. Democratic convention. Weren't you surprised? And I hope you watched it. I watched them all. Because you want to put your prayers towards it, towards everybody, whoever it is. And I don't like everybody cutting everybody. I feel bad for Joe Biden. He doesn't know. He's not rubbing his hands together thinking, I'm going to get the whole, I'm going to get them all. People are misled. Aren't you misled sometimes? Don't you say, don't you feel sorry for your words? I don't want to cut anybody down, but you can make a decision. Everybody's given a certain amount of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. The veil is lifted up. God lets people, and He judges them where they're at. That's why we're not supposed to judge. We are going to make a decision based on our values. And maybe, just maybe, God is pleased with Joe Biden. He didn't. Maybe Joe Biden is there as a test to see if you're going to listen to it. I don't know. Don't even pretend to know. I'm just saying that you don't know what you don't know. But you do know, if you value pro-life, you have to put that in a ranking. How important is it? Says he's a womanizer. Even if it's his past, doesn't matter. You don't judge a tree from its past. You judge it by its fruit. Okay? So here's what I was saying with the Democratic Party. If we would have had one pro-life Democratic, one person that was pro-life in the Democratic Convention. Now, you can say they wouldn't have got in, but remember, Donald Trump, they weren't going to let in on the Republican debate. They weren't going to let him, if you remember that. But he was going to go on his own. So they said, nope, come in. So they all fought him, but they let him come in. They didn't want to divide the policy. They'd do the same thing at the Democratic debate. You don't think God would let a pro-life candidate come in? Of course He would. He would let it in. There used to be pro-life Democratic candidates, but we didn't even get a choice. And think about why God arranged it. Think about it. If you'd have had one, now everything I just said in this video is moot. It would not apply. Would not apply. How about the debate? When Biden, and at that first debate, when they're calling each other, whether it starts out with Biden coming out saying, how you doing, man? Instead of, how are you doing, Mr. President, being respectful, or calling a clown, or Donald Trump interrupted him. I mean, both sides, right? And sure, our President interrupted him a lot, did more, and it seemed a little embarrassing. But look, that's what God's been doing the whole time. The whole time he's saying, how important is it to you? I mean, he didn't go over and beat him up, right? He didn't hurt him, you know, and he only seems to attack people who attack him. And if I'm wrong on that, that isn't what the video is about. It's not what it's about. I will say this, if Donald Trump wrecked everything that he touched, I mean, if everything was falling apart, I would be like, God, why'd you do this? I'd still have to vote for him. He's pro-life. That's how important it is. He's pro-life. And if pro-life is the issue for you, if it's that important, I mean, God, can't you hear him just saying, how important is it to you? And by the way, isn't that what happens when you pray for someone? God's saying, what's it worth to you? That's what, remember when he said, I come not for peace, for division, right? Same thing. It's just a great thing. I think it's a beautiful test. It's a beautiful test. So I hope it gave you something to think about. I hope it was a little bit insightful. And I hope you have a nice day, and just enjoy it. Decide for peace. Whatever happens, whoever wins, don't say, oh, I can't believe it. Prove your faith by trusting God. Have Jesus say about you, wow, such faith. You do your part. Remember, you do your best and you let God do the rest. You decide for peace no matter what the outcome. Doesn't matter. Does not matter who wins the election. What matters is that you do your part and you trust God. And if everything falls apart, you have no blame. You just do your part. That's it. That's it. Okay? So decide for peace. Thanks for watching.